it's not my pleasure to be here today, believe me. I mean, why would I want to come and speak on behalf of this retrograde, this very liberal person? But I'll tell you what, I'm a substitute speaker. I mean, no wonder I'm mad. I mean, Justin Trudeau couldn't make it. Justin was busy giving back money to different charities. And Jeff Beale couldn't make it because Ken hadn't sent his check in yet for the Liberal Party. And Dean Del Maestro, now they asked Dean, but he's too busy selling motorhomes, so he couldn't make it either. And Mayor Bennett, I don't know where he's got to. Anybody seen Mayor Bennett lately? He's not around, so you're going to have to put up with me. Anyways, it's my pleasure and my privilege to speak on behalf of Bev and I of our association with this reprobate over a number of years that we've been together. And you know, it's interesting. I mean, we know one side of Ken Campbell, a gracious, loving type of person, but I'm going to talk about the other side of Ken as well. So, but before that, I just like to say that Bev and our first exposure to Ken Campbell was a number of years ago. And we were sitting in church, and there was Ken and Sybil and the family up in the front row. And I said to Bev, I said, who the hell is this guy? And it's what with these kids? They don't shut up. I mean, they're always yakking and talking and everything. Well, I'm just kidding, of course, because they were one of the best families, you know. I mean, very reserved, very upfront, very laid back. And I thought to myself, how can Ken Campbell and Sybil raise children like this? Well, I'll tell you why. They had a very unique formula. Sybil was very conservative in her approach to doing this, and Ken, of course, was very, very liberal in this respect. Well, this seemed to work because, I mean, they were very well behaved in church and in the social aspects of their life. I mean, even Ken and Sybil were very well behaved in church as well. But, you know, the thing is, Ken and Sybil took their religion very seriously. Their faith was unquestionable. And I would like to quote a passage from Ephesians, which probably best describes Ken's personal approach to his responsibilities within the church and the structure of the church. And I quote, "It is by God's grace that you have been saved through faith. It is not the result of your own efforts, but God's gift, so that no one can boast about it. God has made us what we are, and in our union with Christ Jesus, He has created us for a life of good deeds, which He has already prepared for us to do." End of quote. From this passage, I would like to emphasize the words, a life of good deeds, because this best described Ken's life, and can it be described any better than this? I doubt it. Ken and Sybil joined St. Luke's in 1949, and Sybil possessed a beautiful voice. She joined the choir. When I talked to Ken, he said he wasn't given that gift, so he decided to get variously involved in other organizations within the church, which he did. And he became warden. He served as a sidesman. He was active in scouting for more than 25 years. And he held various positions, including chairman of the group committee, and also was instrumental in the publication of a scouting booklet. So 25 years in scouting. This is amazing. Ken strengthened his faith by attending Cursillo. Now, for you who don't know what Cursillo is, it's a weekend devoted to fellowship and witness as to one's spiritual relationship within the Christian community. He also participated in many follow-up get-togethers with other Cursiestas. Ken, along with Vern Young, formed a group called Young at Heart, very aptly named. This consisted of seniors within the St. Luke's who met and still do meet on a regular basis for fellowship and for bonding. Ken has always generously supported St. Luke's both financially and personally, and in particular donated funds to pay for the cost of the installation of the chairlift which is being used today. Ken has always been known for his laid-back humor and his oratorical prowess, both within and outside of the church, and his astute command of the English language, in a very liberal manner, of course. Now, as we all know, every one of us has a dark side, including Ken. Now he's shaking in his boots because he knows that I have known him for years, and I know about, let's say, not his dark side, but his different side. And I'll give you an example. You probably didn't know this, but Ken has the reputation of being called the scourge of the dining room. The scourge of the dining room. Ken resides at Peterborough Manor, a local senior residence, and a while back he purchased an electric scooter. Do you remember that electric scooter he had, Ken, with the flag on the back and that? Well, one day he decided he was going to show off his driving prowess and drove the scooter into the dining room. Bad mistake. Ken lost control of the scooter, plowed into a table of ladies, scattering them the table, chairs, and food. After the chaos had subsided, Ken embarrassingly drove the scooter back to the room, leaving behind the groans and cries of his victims. The dining room, by the way, is now off limits to Ken. For many years, Ken, Ralph Carpenter, and I played a casual round of golf of about 9 holes during the summer months, and at least Ralph Carpenter and I treated it as casual. Ken Campbell? No way. Do you know about Ken's ability to be competitive? Ken was, you were competitive on the golf course, Ken, weren't you? He's ignoring me, I can tell, because he knows me. Well, this one instance we were playing, and after Ken had made a bad shot and sliced the ball off into the rough, he threw his club to the ground. And Ralph and I were really, we were quite shocked, because this is something that Ken doesn't normally do. Not only did he throw his club, he stamped his feet, shouted out that 4-letter word which we have all used from time to time, drat. Can you believe it? Drat. But not only that, but later on, when he mishit another shot, he screamed out loud a word that his idol, one Pierre Elliott Trudeau, used one time when challenged at a press conference, the F word. The F word. Fuddle-duddle. Ralph and I were dumbfounded, yet in spite of Ken's antics and his foul language, we continued playing until we had completed 9 holes. Now I said to Ken, you've completed the 9 holes, we played golf for a while. What you've got to do is you have to be more aggressive. And he said to me, well, okay. He said, maybe my game is a little bit he couldn't say conservative. Well, if you think that's bad, I'll tell you another story. Martha and Doug Bentley lived on Center Street, right, Ken? They lived just a few houses down. And this one time, they rushed out of the house because in the middle of the night they could hear Ken screaming and yelling. And they came up to the door, and they banged on the door, and it was thrown open by Sybil in her bathrobe, and she was shaking. They went in, and there was Ken with his red booties on and his red hat in the red bed. And they said to him, Ken, what's the matter with you? And he couldn't talk. He couldn't say anything. And Sybil said to Doug, she said, he's had another one of his nightmares. And what was that? Well, she said, I hate to say it, and then Ken jumped up and shouted, never, never, never. And we couldn't figure out what was going on. So Doug asked him again, and Sybil replied, well, he had another one of his nightmares. And what he dreamed was that the Liberal Party had elected another leader named Trudeau. No, it wasn't Trudeau, they said. It was, do you remember, Ken, who it was? The very famous leader of the other party. Who was that? My fellow Canadians. Who? John Diefenbaker. He dreamt that John Diefenbaker had been elected ahead another story. But a few weeks ago, Ken phoned us up, and Ken is very generous, as you realize, and he phoned Bev and I up and he said, I'd like to take you out for breakfast. Can you pick me up at Beaver Manor? So we said, fine. So we went down, we picked him up, we brought him over, we came in, and we went to the Carousel restaurant over on Lansdowne Street. And Bev and I looked at the menu, we were getting ready to order, and Ken had already placed his order. And I happened to overhear what he was ordering, and I thought, well, he's ordering for the three of us. And I asked the waitress, she said, no, that's strictly for Ken. Well, I couldn't believe it. I said, well, okay, then what we'll do is we'll place our order, which we did. And so when they brought the food in, Bev turned to me and she said, how can he eat that much food? I mean, doesn't he realize how old he is? I mean, he can't get that much food in his body. But Bev was wrong, because Ken, he ate it all, and making strange guttural sounds and sighs of contentment out loud. He licked the plate clean, every bit of it. And I said to him, I said, well, I don't realize a man of your advanced age how you could eat so much. And he said, Jack, I've always had a good appetite. And he said that with a twinkle in his eye. And the last story I'd like to tell you is one about another golf story, and this is true, that Ken took his game so seriously that one day he said to Ralph Carpenter, you know, we're not playing so well, and Jack is that much better than we are, and maybe we should go out and practice. So they went out, Ken picked him up in the car, they drove out to one of the local golf courses, and they were practicing. Well, it happened that same day, I was driving out to the golf course to get some green fees, which they had donated to a tournament for Five Counties Children's Center, and lo and behold, Ken spotted the car. He said to Ralph, oh, that's Jack Adams' car coming in. And he said, I think Jack's in it. And I got, it is Jack Adams, let's hide. So they rushed off and hid behind some trees. Well, of course, I spotted them right off the way. Talk about being embarrassed, it was terrible. They didn't just know what to say. Well, that just gives you coincidence, you know, into the other side of Ken Campbell. You know, you hear us talking about how gracious he is there, but he does have a dark side. But in all seriousness, I've provided you with some insight into Ken, his church, his outside life, his golf, and his very liberal approach to things in general. And I'd just like to say on behalf of Bev and I, we've really enjoyed our number of years of association with Ken, and wish him long life and happiness, and don't lose that appetite. Thank you. And that story about him going in and crashing the table, that's true.
It is.
He did. Yes, it's a true story. Yes. Yeah. The scourge of the dining room.